What's going on, guys? Welcome to the first episode of my podcast, Unguided. This first episode was with my buddy Paul Vermette. He has a tremendous story of how he went from being a high school dropout to now being accepted to an Ivy League school. So I hope you guys enjoy this first episode, and I'm going to try to get these podcasts up at least once a week. So stay tuned, and I hope you guys enjoy.
So I am from New Bedford, Mass.
Me too.
Steve and I grew up together. Came from like a broken home. A lot of anger, just a lot of violence, abuse, addiction, things like that. And my upbringing kind of was tougher because of that. I could have easily fallen down the wrong path, and there were many times when I did. Hung out with the wrong crowd, but sports kind of helped me balance it out. Went into high school, kind of never took it serious, never took school serious. Ended up dropping out my junior year. At the end of my junior year, I just kind of stopped going to school. That's like something that people...
I didn't even know that at first either, because we went to high school together. I didn't even know that you dropped out until graduation. I kind of just stopped seeing you at school. It's kind of like I don't know, what caused you to drop out? Because you didn't seem like you were doing bad.
Well, yeah, that's like a misconception too. People think that to drop out, you have to go into the office and sign the papers or something. Once you're above the age of 18, they ain't calling your parents. So
see, I didn't know that.
So I was above the age of 18. I was 18 at the time. I just stopped going to school. They weren't calling anybody. They weren't gonna harass my mother anymore because I was an adult.
Yeah.
So I just stopped going to school. Nobody asked about me.
You didn't get nothing in the mail.
And then that's the thing too. So that's actually considered dropout still. So when you stop going to school, there's rosters that you get taken off of. As a student, there are people there. I only know that because I researched it now. Mm-hmm. But that's considered in dropout rates and stuff like that. It's not like only the students that drop out are considered dropouts. But anyway, to get back to the story, so I dropped out of school. I started partying, hanging around with the wrong kids, drinking a lot.
Not to cut you off, but if there's one reason why you think you dropped out, why did you drop out?
I didn't have a dad growing up, and I think a lot of it was just not having the guidance I needed. Yeah. And having that confidence in myself. So I never took anything serious, especially school. Uh-huh. So once real world problems came in high school, I just didn't have the ability to handle things that a lot of kids did because they had the molding that was proper for their character. So I think that Andrew passing away definitely was a number. I wasn't. Mm-hmm. There was a friend of ours, a kid that we played baseball with growing up, that passed away in a car accident in high school. But for me, it was more because I was friends with people that were brothers with the kid. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was tough because I was vicariously feeling the pain through them. Yeah. But I think that instance really opened up a lot of the stuff that I kind of just kept in as a child. Because a lot of people, when you're growing up, everything that you're experiencing affects you. If you have a shitty experience with something, it's gonna ruin you. If you let it. And I think that's why I was acting up when you knew me. I was a class clown.
Yeah, but to be honest, I knew that because I was a class clown too. But it didn't seem like you obviously you're not a dumb person. You're going to an Ivy League school, but it didn't seem like anything was wrong. Mm-hmm. From me just knowing you, it didn't seem like something was wrong to the point where you were gonna drop out. So that's, I don't know, it was kind of a shock to me when I found out you dropped out. But
yeah. So for me, clowning around in school, I think when people act up in school, I only know this because I felt it. I don't think everybody has their own reasons, but yeah, I was avoiding a lot of stuff. And that was the easiest way for me to blanket everything. Mm-hmm. Just not face it, not take anything seriously. Yeah. So that's what I did. A lot of kids, when they clown around at school, it's because they have, a lot of structure and a lot of comfort in their life. Yeah. And they don't have to take things seriously. But for me, it was because if I did take it seriously, it was, I have a lot of problems going on right now. And if I deal with those problems, not even that, am I ready to deal with those problems? I wasn't ready to.
Now, do you think you were in the wrong crowd of people also? Do you think you had bad influences?
Definitely. I think we all do. Yeah. Through our, we live and we learn, but definitely. I grew up with a single mom, so she couldn't really be on me 24/7. She tried playing both roles, but she worked a lot. So living in that situation, it made it easy for me to kind of do what I wanted as a young child or a young child as a teenager when I shouldn't have been able to. Because when you're that age, you think you know everything. You know, like,
Yeah.
screw you mentality. So I was doing everything in the world that I freaking wanted to do. And 99% of the time, I wasn't being told otherwise.
So I know that, you end up enrolling in a community college. How long of a period of time was it from you dropping out of high school to, well, you went to night school actually, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you go there at the community college? Did you
No,
do it
I went
there?
at New Bedford High.
At New Bedford High?
Mm-hmm.
So how long of a period of time was there between like you going to night school and kind of just doing nothing really to you enrolling in the college?
So I dropped out of school, I stopped going in like the spring of 2013. That sounds about right. Yeah, the spring of 2013, and which was at the end of our junior year.
Yep.
So I mean, we had that algebra class together.
Yeah, we had algebra.
I was already skipping school a lot then, like just because I had my car already. But I ended up going to a million different jobs, like working full time, just.
Yeah, you were at like
not
Buffalo
school.
Wild Wings, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
like restaurants and shit.
Yeah, just working crap jobs. I worked at a temp factory.
What?
A temp factory. So
What the hell's that?
like there's temp jobs where I worked at a printing press factory.
Oh, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it was terrible. It was like
I remember
in
that.
the middle of the summer, 2013.
shit.
It was the worst experience ever. Like 150 degrees in there.
Yeah.
I did that for like 5 days, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'd rather die.
They say the best way to find out what you want to do in life is to do what you don't want to do.
Oh my god, I
You
found
know?
that out. I worked at like a few jobs for a couple of days, and I was like, screw that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this shit for the rest.
You see
of my
people
life.
there who have been there for like 10 years and like it just petrifies you.
Just
You're
hate
like,
themselves, and they're having
Yeah.
like the same burger and fries that are paid for lunch every day, and drinking
Sounds
their fucking disparity.
awful.
Yeah, but
So yeah, we're talking about the
yeah.
period of time between you dropping out and then kind of like, getting your GED and then enrolling into college. How long of a period of time was that?
So I dropped out in 2013. I took like 2 full years off, was working full time, just acting up with my money, never saved it. And then I crashed my car April of 2015. So
I
it was
remember
like
that,
2 full years I was out of school just acting up. And I had the luxury of still living in my mom's place for the most part. My mom is a great lady, so not everybody has that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
But so after the incident where I fell asleep behind the wheel, driving back home from Providence, which is about a 45-minute drive from where we live, I veered into a steep median. And do you know those medians that are like really steep?
Yeah.
Like almost U-shaped
Yeah.
for the water collection when it rains a lot?
I
things
saw
like
one
that.
last week. Yeah. Going to New York.
So,
New York has a lot of
I
those.
veered into one of those when I fell asleep, and my Jeep just tipped and rolled over like 4 times. And I was going like 70 miles per hour.
That's
when I did
crazy.
that. Yeah, and I was with somebody, and we were both
Like a roll, like a kickflip? Like,
straight up, like
That's crazy,
like
dude.
full
Shit.
velocity. Yep. So I remember just waking up to impact, and it being the scariest fucking thing that ever happened in my life. I literally
like not knowing if you're dead or alive.
you're in
just
shock.
kinda, yeah.
I was in such a shock that I remember. Luckily, my Jeep landed on all 4. Like that was great.
That helps, I guess.
Yeah. So it landed on all 4. It was completely totaled. Front end ripped off. The tranny snapped in half.
That's
Nothing
crazy.
at all in my car was salvageable. Even the tires were fucked up. Like I don't
Were
know
you
how.
with someone?
Yeah, my friend Jose Abro. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you guys are both fine, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So,
All right. Little interruption right there. Little road bump. Doesn't hurt nobody. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. So you flipped your car 4 times. Oh, and that was 95, right? The highway 95?
195.
195. Yeah. That's so. All right. So you flipped your car 4 times. Did you have to go to the hospital? Did you get like knocked out or something like that?
They sent me to the hospital, but it was more like a safety precaution.
Yeah, like you have to go. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like the next day when you woke up, what was your thought? Was that like a thing that like changed the route of your life?
Let me step back. When it happened,
Yeah.
all I remember was like hitting the impact,
Mm-hmm.
and just knowing that what was going on, A, was scary as hell, and
Yeah,
B,
sounds it. Yeah.
and B, that I had no control anymore about what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
That was
You must have
automatic.
like been wondering about your friend too.
That was secondary. You know, when
I
something
feel-
like that's
yeah.
happening, you're
Think about yourself first, yeah.
instinctually, yeah. So all I remember
I
was
love how real you just kept it right there. I love how real you just kept it right there. Like, I was worried about myself, brother. He can worry about himself. I worry about myself right now, dude.
The first thing I remember doing was, like it landed on all 4s, and I was still in shock. And when you're in shock, you don't feel like you're supposed to feel. You don't.
Yeah, you
think
feel like
how
numbish kind of. I never got into action like that, but I've kind of felt that before.
You're in that moment.
Yeah.
And I just remember stopping, realizing what happened for a second, and first thing I did was like touch my feel myself to make sure that my body was still together and I could still move.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could feel my feet like move around. That was the first thing I did because I was like, I know in accidents like that you don't know.
And you had your seatbelt on.
Yes.
Luckily.
Yeah. And
that's crazy. Like, what if you didn't have your seatbelt on? You would be dead.
Probably. So, right after I realized I'm okay, I looked to my right and asked the passenger. I said, "Dude, are you okay?" I was like, "Are you good?" And he just looked at me with the same wide eyes I looked at him with.
That's insane.
And he was like, "Let's get the fuck out of this car."
Yeah, that'd be my first feeling too. So, just get out of this thing.
We jumped out, ran across the highway because we're in the median.
And
it was like 2-3 a.m. though. So we get out and
did anyone see it?
Yes. So there was 5 cars pulled over by the time we got out. It was 2 or 3 in the morning.
So yeah, you must have been in there for a little while.
We got right out.
Really?
But everybody that saw the accident pulled over.
Oh yeah.
Even the people on the other side drove across because they were worried. They were worried that we were dead because they'd never seen something so tragic.
That's insane, man.
So
would you describe that as like something that really changed like your perspective on life?
I mean, not like overnight.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the next day I was like, going to church in the morning and like having a different diet or something like, or doing everything different, but it started the thought process of like, what am I doing? Death is real. You can't just live in like this like cloud of disparity your whole life, like thinking that things are just going to change for you. So like when I was going through those motions, it was like each day, I was still doing some of the bad stuff like I was doing before. It didn't just like click like that.
Yeah.
But I started to realize like, like what am I doing with my life? Is anything I'm doing right now going to better me? Like, do I want, if I would have died, like, is that the legacy I would have wanted to have been left of my name? And I remember back to, I'm named after my grandfather. I'm the second. And I remember when he passed away of Alzheimer's back in 2008, 10 years ago almost, that almost everybody there, he was a really popular figure. He fought in Nam. He was a very successful businessman afterwards. And almost everybody said, you're named after him? You have big shoes to fill then. Yeah. And I remember that. And it was like,
if you went out like that, you wouldn't have filled the shoes.
It kind of, it was like that. And it's like, what am I doing? What is my legacy like? And I just don't want to die somebody that has a weightless name. I want to be somebody that left something and made an impact.
Absolutely.
So I started to think about that while I was working full time, and I was like, let's just go back to night school. Got back into night school.
So how long of a period of time was it like after dropping out and going into night school?
So I knew that like in August or July. So like a couple of months after I was going back to school.
All right, yeah.
Because I was still hanging around with the same people, and afterwards it just became more and more obvious that I didn't want that anymore. It wasn't
so you
overnight.
think the crowd you're hanging out with was really influencing on you?
I noticed it more, and it's like, I noticed they didn't care about me like I thought they did. That they would put me in vulnerable situations and not think anything of it. Just
only hit you up if you're doing something like getting drunk. A lot of the things
you don't realize when you're in that cloud of like just anger and just trying to get away from everything. Yeah. You don't care about that stuff because you're using them for the same things. So
makes sense.
I was using them for the same reason they were using me. And I just became conscious of it, which not a lot of people do. So I said, you know what? This isn't the life I want. I couldn't even look at myself. So I said, let's go back to school. And my mother was kind of on my ass too. So it wasn't just me, but she was right. I needed to do something with my life. So I went back to night school while working full time, which sucked because I worked in a warehouse.
No spare time, dude.
Retail warehouse. I was working like 70 hours a week during the holidays, and night school started from November and went until June. So it started later, like right during the holidays though. Mm-hmm. So that really sucked.
Here's a question. Night school, because, I never went to night school, obviously, but like, what kind of like characters do you find in night school? Is it generally people who kind of screw off, or is it people kind of similar to, is there like a mix?
You ever been to the RMV?
Yeah.
Or the DMV? Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Huh. So, I mean, our school was already like a zoo.
Yeah, our high school, yep.
you get a lot of people that don't want to be going there, but for
Probably like a parent or something is forcing
unforeseen
them.
circumstances, they're going there. Either they need it to graduate, or they need it for not getting suspended, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also it was 2015 that I started going, 2016. So I was 20, turning 21 when I went, and the cutoff for night school was 22. So I just got in the back door.
So what happens after, is that a GED that you would have to get if you're 22, or was that a GED?
Exactly. So I got a high school, I got my high school diploma still.
But if you turn 22, then you have to go get a GED.
Exactly. So it's a whole different process because then they consider you an adult learner.
Yeah.
So I got right in the back door of that, and a lot of the kids that go there are from like 15 to 18 years old. And me being out of school for the amount of time I was out, it was already like a big maturity difference.
Yeah.
I had already known that I didn't just want to graduate high school. I had already known that I wanted to go to college afterwards. Like I was going to go right away.
Yep.
So not knowing what the hell I wanted to do, I just thought, I see all these kids that I went to school with that are going to 4 years, not even knowing what they're doing. Had never had a real job like I did. Don't really know how to work their asses off. They don't have the mentality I do. So if I put the same effort in that I do with my shit jobs, and something that can actually change my life,
yeah,
might as well try. So I had like this blind faith. I was like, screw it, just do it. And I think it was because my back was like kind of up against the wall at that point.
Nothing to lose,
So I was like, I'm just gonna take a shot at it, and I did. So I graduated from night school. I only had to take 2 classes, so it wasn't that bad. And went right into BCC. And I remember BCC, they have employees that go to each school. And for night school one day, they had a BCC employee. And I went down and talked, and I remember talking to her afterwards, and I was like, hey, BCC is Bristol Community College.
Yeah, community college, I was going to say that,
Community college, where we go. So obviously I couldn't go to like a nice university. My GPA from high school was probably like...
Oh, I had a bad one too in high school. Don't worry about it.
Like 1.8 though.
I had an awful one. Yeah, I think my college one was double my high school. I think it was, dude.
Yeah, probably.
I think it was.
So my high school GPA was like terrible. So it wasn't. I didn't have the option to go to like Yale or something.
Yeah.
So that was what it was, and with community colleges, there's like that huge stigma. It's like people think that it's like a crappy school, that you're not getting a good education, but it changed my life. But I didn't know that like when I first went in. I just knew that I wanted to get out of there, go to a 4-year. And from the peers that I had, I thought that it was only like an option to go to like UMass Dartmouth, or a state school. I didn't think like that big, which is fine for people that want to do that because there are programs at those schools that are good, but I just didn't even know what I wanted. There are some people that are in the nursing program at UMass Dartmouth, and that's one of the best in the country. So but I just. It's like I'm going to do a traditional route. I'm going to go to college and graduate. But then I just got into it, and there were really fucking cool professors at the community college that were great and challenged me.
Yeah.
And saw something in me. It must have been the effort because I wasn't fucking around.
And it's a completely different environment when people are paying to go there. So it's not like people are going there and just jerking off all the time. I mean,
And I'm one of those people. Like I'm a feel. Like for instance, like if I start something, I'm really into it when I start it. Like, I do not screw around. My focus is all there. I'm going to act like that.
Obsessive.
Individual. I'm so obsessive. Yeah. So when I got into college, like, I was like, I'm going to be...
And you're super competitive. You don't have to tell me that. I'll tell you that yourself.
So I'm going to be the most badass motherfucking college student that goes to college. So I had that in mind, and I was like fully on that, living that high. Like, I'm a college student now. Like I'm going to do everything like a college student. I remember I traded in my PS4.
I remember that.
The first week of school.
Because we used to play PS4
and
together.
I traded it in for a Kindle Paperwhite.
That's serious. That's an investment.
To read, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't want to distract myself. It was the best thing I ever did.
I remember that, dude. You went MIA real quick.
I had to change my habits. And I learned that like from reading a couple of books. The Power of Habit's a really good one. Mm-hmm. And basically like just having those keystone habits that like branch out into other healthy habits. So if you look at like a keystone habit, it's like a tree, right? Or habit, like look at a habit tree. The keystone habit is like the trunk, like the core of it, the foundation, the roots. And if you have a good, healthy keystone habit, like school was for me, other good habits branch out. So
Absolutely.
those are the stems, the branches. And for me, that was school. And I realized that I didn't want to, and this was a process, but like once I started getting into school and really succeeding and meeting people there and having the mentors that I had there, I started to realize I didn't want to hang out with those kids I was hanging out with anymore.
Yep.
It became more and more obvious because I was doing healthy things in my life.
You gravitated towards the positivity instead. You were just stuck in negative shit all the time.
Yep.
And the one opportunity you reach for. That's
And
a lot
the
of.
thing,
That's
like,
what college is great
my
for.
My household, it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even in my house, I'd wake up, everybody's in a bad fucking mood.
I feel you.
You say good morning to someone, it's a shitty response. You can't even have a nice breakfast without some commotion going on. So
Kind of like those shitty jobs too. It's the same way.
Yeah, same thing. So
Yeah.
like I was surrounded by that, and I let it impact me for so long.
Yep.
But then when I got out of that and I broke through and finally got to college where there were other people that were really trying to better their lives, it was addicting because I was like, and it was so enlightening for me and relieving because it was like, wow, there are people in this world that aren't this damn depressed.
Yeah.
Like that aren't this shitty.
I feel that 100%, man.
So and that's so true for anything. If you want to do something to better your life and you put yourself in a good situation, you'll get out of it. You'll get out of the rut you're in. You'll get out of the shitty environment you're in, and you'll naturally be absorbed into the other atmosphere that you so want to be in. So it really is like thinking that way and acting a certain way will just naturally bond that connection. It won't happen overnight.
Yeah, it's kind of like that saying. It's like you hang out with 4 alcoholics, you'd be the 5th. You hang out with 4 rich people, you'd be the 5th.
It's
It's
true.
what you surround yourself with.
It's
It
so
really is true.
It sounds cliche.
Yeah,
A lot of the cliche things are so true.
Absolutely.
The cliche because a lot of people are agreeing with it.
especially for people who are competitive. Like if you're in a group of people that are doing well in school, you want to be right up there with them. You're competitive. You want to be
Right.
right up there with. You want
Right.
to get better grades than them. You know what I mean?
And look, when I started going there, I was nervous as hell.
Because you
like,
thought
you
you were gonna be dumb, right?
I thought because I never graduated really. I just went to night school. I never really tried in high school. I wasn't going to have the study habits or the intellect to be able
I kind
to.
of had that anxiety too, because I went to BCC also.
Yeah.
But I kind of had that same anxiety.
So I was competitive because of that. I used that like, all right, I got to work harder than these kids,
Yeah.
And because of that, I think that it helped me, get over that because I think that it's natural to have that feeling. It's kind of like imposterism. Like
Yeah.
whenever you put yourself into a new environment.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. But not only to add to that, it's like whenever you get into a new area, you're going to be uncomfortable and you're going to feel like the lesser in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You have a new job, same thing. You go to
Absolutely.
a new gym, it's the same thing. But it's getting comfortable with that feeling because it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen whenever you do something new, but it's understanding that and realizing that it's temporary.
And that's good. Making yourself uncomfortable, putting yourself in new situations is good. Like, look what
Mm-hmm.
it did for you. It's a prime example. Like, it can change your freaking life. So, all right, so let's fast forward a little bit. So you went to BCC and you joined all sorts of programs within BCC. Like you're on like the student board, right?
Yeah, I was in student government. I was the president of the student senate.
Right. So you just got super involved. Like you said, you just dove straight in. You want to get as involved as possible, so that becomes your life, not the shit that you were a part of before. So what was the process of going to a community college where pretty much anyone can go to getting accepted to an Ivy League school?
First, I like it wasn't just like a me thing. Like I want to make that clear because a lot of people when they look at somebody that does that, they're like, wow, that person must have slept like 4 hours a night during school and been able to carry like an elephant on his back. What a strong individual. I can never be that strong. It's not true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm flawed still. I have things I'm trying to better. But it's also that I had such great support from doing those good things and meeting people in those realms.
So you had good support from people at school?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Professors that recommended I do that because I wouldn't have. And I thought that it was just going to be like a resume builder. Little did I know that it was a character builder. Like, once you get in there, you can't fake it.
Yeah.
You're going to learn stuff, and you're going to be put in situations where you have to react. And that's what happened. So I became a senator, and then after a year became the president of the Senate. And that same semester, I had a professor that recommended, hey, I see your study habits and the effort you're putting in. You ever thought about being in the honors program? I never thought of that, but they recommended it, and I was like, screw it. Like I might as well, if I'm going hard at this and I'm doing good so far, let's try to get into a good school now.
Yeah.
And it kind of just piggybacked from there. It's like, you don't leap somewhere. You know, it's those baby steps that people don't see. But the success part, everybody wants to know about. But they don't understand that it's something that takes time. It's a slow process.
Which is exactly the whole theme to this podcast. Unguided, like the whole story behind where you want to go, or where you are at.
Exactly. So it was like, I met with professors like 5 times a week. You know, I talked with people, mentors there that made me feel better about my situation, because there were times where I felt like I was too competitive in the classroom, you know, just because I was so...
Answering all the questions.
I was so fixed on trying my best, I thought that I was taking other voices away and coming off as...
A douche or something?
Not intellectual, you know, like arrogant.
Yeah.
And I was worried about that, and I was conscious about it, though. And I talked to people, and they told me no. But you have to go through those growing pains, you know, because if you don't grow.
Yeah.
Like, if you allow those to just make you take a step back, you're never going to get past it. And like there were times, like in my first semester, I took a public speaking class, and I remember, like, I was a class clown. I never had a problem talking, but in that environment,
you get the sweats,
it's
dude.
different.
You get the
I
sweats.
remember being so nervous.
Yeah, I remember the same shit, man.
I was clenching my feet and fists because I was so nervous about going up to speak that I was like in fighting mode.
Yeah.
Like, fuck everybody.
Yep.
I'm gonna kill this shit. And
I remember being the same way.
My legs would be shaking, and then I'd get up and kill it. And my professor was like, "You're a natural at speaking." You know, it's like it's just like the expectation versus what it really is.
Yeah.
And just throw yourself into that situation. Take that leap, because if you don't take that leap, you're never gonna know what you're capable of. And that was what happened for me. And I still don't feel like I'm anywhere near where I want to be as an individual. You know, I have goals for myself. You know, I want to have my nice house with the white picket fence,
Yeah.
with the nice grass, cut lawn, you know, nice German Shepherd in the back, a loving wife, kids, good paying job that doesn't make me want to go home and, you know, hang myself. But I understand that it's going to be the same now. And I have that expectation that I'm always going to go into something nervous, and that like it's going to be challenging, and it's going to change me. That's the thing. Some people don't want to change.
Yeah,
they don't want to change who they are.
A lot of people stay in their hometown their whole life.
Right.
They'll die in their hometown.
And don't get me wrong. Like, if you're somebody that loves your hometown and loves the life you live, that's fine. But how many people do that? How many people are loving what they're doing and actually love where they live and don't want to travel?
And then versus how many people do you hear complaining on a daily basis?
Right. Like, screw this place.
Yeah.
They don't always say they love it in defense.
Yeah. More people complain than say how happy they are.
Right. So I think to answer that, that's really what it was for me. Just gradually putting in the same effort, nonstop, and it gets easier after a while. Like, I remember the last semester of school for me was so easy, like compared to the first, because I already knew my study habits. I already knew what I was going to be doing. I had that closure. But now it's like I'm opening up a whole new chapter.
Exactly. Now you're starting right over again,
yeah,
you know?
I'm new with everything I'm doing. As you know, I'm doing jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai right now.
Yep.
And I'm in foundations class. Like, I'm the newest I'm an infant in that world. Like, I am brand new. People have been doing that for decades. I'm not going to be great at that, maybe ever. But, you know, I'm only going to get better. And it's like, you have to keep that mentality with everything you do.
Absolutely.
And hopefully they realize that. Hopefully they recognize that. You know, so I'm such a firm believer now in put the effort in and good things will happen. Like, when I applied to schools from VCC, there was always that, like, voice in the back of my head, like, doesn't fucking matter. You're never going to be good enough for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're from fucking New Bedford. You came from shit. Who the hell do you think you are? You're not good enough for this shit. And that drove me, but it still drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I applied to Brown, Cornell, a lot of prestigious schools, and I worked my ass off on the Common App stuff, because you have to use that for transfer applications. I met with professors to write the essays, and I put my heart, my blood, sweat, and tears into those writings. And I did my research on the schools before I applied. And February to like April, there's a gap from when you apply to when you hear back. I was checking those portals every single day to see if there was any difference, because it was driving me crazy not knowing. And I just remember thinking, you know, I don't think it's going to work out. Like, it's just that doubt you're always going to have, but not letting it, like, cripple. I didn't let it cripple me. I was like, screw it. Like, you have to have a why not mentality.
Yeah.
Like, just, why not? Just do it. The worst that will happen, and like, there's a term that says, like a saying that goes like, you either win or you learn, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's no in between. Like, you don't lose ever. Like, there's always something to grow from it. And, like, I had that mentality, like, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing things and learn from whatever happens. I didn't get accepted at every school, but I got lucky enough. I remember checking the application for Brown. They give you an email when it got updated, the admission decision. And I was downstairs doing laundry when I got it on my phone. Dropped everything. Dropped everything. I remember running up to my laptop. My dog was sitting next to me. And I remember when I opened it up, before I clicked on it, I looked at her and I was like, hey, Zoe, you ready for this first failure? Because it would have been the first school I got rejected from. Because I didn't even expect to get in here.
Yeah.
To be honest, this is one of the schools I put the least effort into applying to. So I was like, because it was so far, it was the furthest away. And I was like, yeah, what are the odds? So I opened it and I had to read it like 5 times.
Make sure there's no typos in there.
It's fucking real. And I remember kind of like tearing up,
Yeah,
being honest, you know, because it was like all of those like demons, like all of those like the things that were like eating me alive, kind of like
The different roads you could have went down, you know?
yeah, and just like from what I dealt with and the reality of it, because along the way you're gonna have doubt. I had so much, and it was like, damn, it actually worked out.
So, if say you're talking to someone right now who just graduated from night school and is thinking about enrolling in BCC, has no idea what they want to do with their life, is around the wrong people, what's something you would tell them? Like if you had a quick 2 minutes just to give them a piece of advice.
So if you're around somebody or if you're in a position in your life where you're not doing what you want to do or you don't like who you are, know that. And go with that. Don't just realize it and not do anything about it, because you're only going to dig that hole deeper. So know that and try small. Try something small. Don't try to, if you're, drinking all the time and partying with the wrong kids, don't try not drinking alcohol for 4 months,
Get out of your comfort zone, basically.
Get out of your comfort zone, but don't stop doing, don't just, stop everything. Start doing something new that you wanted to do that you never would because you were afraid to do it. Just do that one little thing.
Brick by brick.
Seriously, just take that one step.
Yeah.
And see where it takes you. And, you're gonna have barriers where you're not confident in yourself. But the more that you do something, the more confident you get in it.
And then once you start seeing smaller results, it gets addictive.
It's great. Like you
kind
feel
of like the gym.
Like it's working out. I'm seeing the gains in my life.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so anybody that's going through stuff like that, it's, just don't ignore it, because if you ignore it, it's only going to get worse. It's going to suck when you first try to change it, because you're going to have people that don't believe in you.
Probably make fun of you, talk shit.
Yeah, happened to me.
Talk a lot of shit behind your back, probably.
There were probably a bunch of people that I remember. There was one person. So when I was doing the student leadership my first year at BCC, and the New Bedford campus, one of the satellite campuses, I was the rep for, and they have like a plan with all the local restaurants to have student discounts, student meals, and all of them had ran out, and I was going back. We were going back with new paperwork so that they'd fill out, and we'd have a documented copy of their agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they wanted to do is they wanted to let me try a few times, to get that speaking, that professionalism across. And I ran into somebody I used to work with. I was a bartender downtown, and this was the spring semester of that year. And she goes, "You're taking this school stuff way too seriously." Girl's 30 years old, a bartender. Which is fine, but stones in a glass house, but it really rubbed me the wrong way, because it was like, how can you tell me I'm taking school too seriously? What? There are going to be people that hate on you, and it's like, I probably had a lot of people that were like, yeah, fuck this kid, he's all into school, what the hell is he going to do? Let that drive you, just keep pushing. And so there's going to be doubters. And number one doubter is going to be yourself. But just be tough.
That's why surrounding yourself with people who want to also see you win and you want to see them win is so important, you know?
Your support system is going to be the determining factor, because mine is. Like, support is everything. If you don't have people there for you, you know,
it's not impossible. It's just a whole lot harder. You know?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, I don't think that anybody in this world has nobody there for them.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you talk to any successful person, they
had someone
agree
along the way.
they had a cohort around them. You know, people that were working with them, like a community almost. Especially when you get further and further, beyond, because you have more and more people the higher you get in the world that want to do that. So if you're down here, it's gonna suck. Like, it's sucked for me in the last couple of years, but it gets better because then you meet friends and meet the same like-minded people.
Yeah.
So just have faith that you're going to meet good people that want the same things from life that you do. And also try to be respectful of people that are going through things. Because I know for me, once I got into that mentality, it was kind of like, if you're not feeling the same way, if you're not putting the same effort in, I'm into.
You lack empathy for other people, kind of.
Yeah, and it's
like, if I can do it, then why can't you do it?
You got to understand that everybody has a different path, and they're going to be ready to change if they want to, when they can, and when they are ready. So, you know, all the friends I wasn't hanging out with anymore, they're still my friends. I'm not like, screw them. I want to see them do better, and I've tried to help them do better, but until they do that, I'm not going to be around them as often. So don't have that misconception that you're just cutting people out.
Yeah.
Always try to, like, have love for people and, you know, be compassionate to others, because if you just start cutting people off, you're gonna burn a lot of bridges, and it's just not someone you want to be.
Yeah, that's the exact message that Gary Vaynerchuk always says. He says, you know, have empathy for other people. You know, just care more for other people than you do for yourself. Almost.
Everybody's going through something.
Yeah,
everybody has their own problems.
Yeah. So here's this. 20 years down the road, what's the future for Paul Vermette? What's like the ideal future for you?
20 years from now, I will be 43.
Yep.
So hopefully in like 5 years, I'll be retiring.
and this is documented, so you can go back to this 20 years from now, dude. So you gotta.
I don't know. And that's the beauty of it. Like, I don't have this, like, grandiose plan of myself.
Yeah.
Like, no. I just know that I'm putting effort into everything I'm doing, and I'm learning along the way, and I'm going to go from there and see where the world takes me. But hopefully I will be in a position where I'm comfortable enough financially and individually to help other people out, because I love doing it, and it's addicting.
All right, so if you made it all the way to the end, first of all, thank you. And I'm guessing you enjoyed the episode. So if you enjoyed it and you're not already subscribed, please click subscribe, like, comment what you think below. And if you guys enjoyed listening to my buddy Paul talk, I'll link his social media accounts down in the bottom so you guys can follow him and check out what he's up to in life. So so stay tuned for these podcasts weekly, and I also post other videos on my YouTube channel throughout the week. So I appreciate you guys hanging in, and I'll see you in the next episode.